This road trip was one of those spontaneous getaways where you pack the car, hit the road, and let the journey surprise you. From the iconic Hearst Castle to the charm of Morro Bay, the history of San Luis Obispo and Solvang, the beauty of Santa Barbara, and even a blood moon lighting up the night sky, this weekend was packed with moments I can't wait to share with you. So buckle up and let's hit the road together. The journey to Hearst Castle is part of the magic, driving along the California coast with the mountains rising on one side and the Pacific Ocean stretching endlessly on the other. You really feel like you're heading towards something extraordinary. Before arriving at Hearst Castle, we made a quick pit stop to charge up and get a quick bite to eat. Our first stop was the Visitor Center, the gateway to Hearst Castle. A quick look at the exterior, the entrance, and of course the iconic sign welcoming you to the estate. Inside, the lobby buzzed with visitors preparing to board the bus for their tour. From there, we boarded the bus that winds its way up the Enchanted Hill. The ride itself is an experience, passing through winding mountain roads, sweeping hillsides, and glimpses of the ocean below. It builds anticipation with every turn. Climbing the stone stairs, we reached the first landing, where a fountain with an alabaster sculpture welcomed us. Here, our tour guide greeted the group, building anticipation for what lay ahead. From there, we continued upward, passing through lush gardens until we arrived at the guest house. The scenic views stretched for miles. Ocean on one side, mountains on the other. Our guide shared stories of the estate's architect and revealed that this very guest house had hosted Hollywood's elite, from famous actors to industry pioneers. Even Walt Disney once stayed here, prompting the question, did Hearst Castle spark some of the inspiration behind Disneyland itself?
Next time you go to Disneyland, think, I wonder if good old Walt got his inspiration from this guy. I'll let you decide.
Our first real stop was the Neptune Pool, with its marble colonnades, sculptures, and shimmering blue water. It feels straight out of ancient Rome. At the top of the stone structure, Neptune himself takes center stage, perfectly positioned within the triangular pediment. From every angle, the pool is pure spectacle. We continued upwards through the gardens, lined with fountains, sculptures, and views that stretched endlessly over the California coast. From here, looking back, you can see the Neptune Pool, framed below, a breathtaking perspective that shows just how grand this estate really is. Reaching the main building, Casa Grande, we pause to admire its exterior. The ornate stonework, towers, and Mediterranean-style designs stand out against the backdrop of mountains and ocean. It feels less a California mansion and more like a palace transported from Europe. Inside, we stepped into the assembly room, the grand living room where Hearst's guests gathered before dinner. The soaring ceilings, carved wooden beams, and massive fireplaces surround you with history. Ancient tapestries add layers of color and detail, telling stories centuries older than the estate itself. Next, we're led to the refectory, Hearst's grand dining hall. With its long wooden tables, medieval-style flags, and Gothic chandeliers, it could easily be mistaken for a European banquet hall. And yet, on those elegant tables, you'll still spot bottles of mustard and ketchup, a playful reminder of Hearst's casual taste. The morning room, also known as the smoking room, offered a more intimate space. The dark wooden ceilings, imported from Spain, still carry traces of smoke from decades past. Over the years, careful restoration has brought them back to life, preserving their rich details. You can picture Hearst guests lounging here, cigars in hand, enjoying quiet conversation. The billiards room captured that blend of art and leisure. Colorful ceilings, intricate carvings, and antique decor turned what might have been a simple game into something extravagant. Then came the theater, Hearst's private cinema. Here, guests previewed films long before they hit the public. As we entered, a black and white reel flickered on the screen, giving us a glimpse into what it must have felt like to watch movies in this private screening room nearly a century ago. The final stop was the Roman pool. Stepping inside felt like walking into a jewel box, every inch covered in cobalt blue and gold mosaic tiles. Reflections shimmered across the water, making it feel like the pool itself was glowing. Sculptures of Roman gods stood watch, completing the illusion of stepping into a Roman bathhouse. Our tour ended back on the bus with sweeping views of the coastline framed by the mountains. From the Neptune pool at the start to the dazzling Roman pool at the end, Hearst Castle is a journey through history, imagination, and the dreams of one man who dared to build an enchanted world on this hilltop. After leaving Hearst Castle, we stayed on the main road and just a few minutes later arrived at San Simeon Pier. Stepping out onto the weathered wooden boards, we were greeted with the sweeping views of the Pacific Ocean. Waves crashed against the shore, their rhythmic roar mixing with the cries of distant seabirds. A light fog lingered over the horizon, softening the edges of the coastline and giving the whole scene a dreamlike quality. Standing there, looking out over the beach and the endless blue, it felt like the perfect place to pause and take in the Central Coast's natural beauty. From the pier, it was just a short drive, about 2 miles, to Elephant Seal Beach, one of the most remarkable wildlife viewing areas in California. Here, thousands of northern elephant seals make their home throughout the year, coming ashore to rest, molt, and raise their young. On this visit, dozens of seals were sprawled across the sand, some stretched out like giant sunbathers, others flopping and grunting in the surf. The males with their large trunk-like noses are what give the species its name. They can grow up to 5,000 pounds, making them the largest seals in the northern hemisphere. Females are much smaller, but just as captivating to watch. When it was time to continue our trip, we got back on Highway 1 and headed south toward Morro Bay. What struck me most during this drive was how quickly the weather shifted. We started out in heavy fog where the coastline was veiled and the sky muted to gray. Just minutes later, as the road curved inland and opened up again toward the ocean, the fog gave way to warm sunlight and brilliant blue skies. The contrast going from moody, mysterious fog to bright, vibrant sunshine in such a short span made the drive feel like its own little journey within the journey. After checking into our Airbnb in Morro Bay, we made our way straight to the bay and Marina. The first thing that caught our eye were the 3 massive smokestacks from the old power plant, standing tall like silent sentinels against the skyline. As we strolled along the marina, we wandered past a handful of charming shops and restaurants, each offering their own coastal character. The views were spectacular, Morro Rock rising proudly at the mouth of the bay, framed by the Pacific Ocean beyond. The air smelled of salt and seaweed, carried by a cool ocean breeze that contrasted perfectly with the warmth of the afternoon sun. Along the walkway, we paused to watch a restaurant worker cleaning and gutting freshly caught Alaskan salmon right on the pier. It was a raw, unfiltered glimpse of life in a fishing town. Out on the water, paddleboaters and kayakers, and even snorkelers dotted the bay, enjoying the calm surf. Small boats puttered back and forth, and their wake rippled across the still surface. One of the highlights was coming across a raft of sea otters, lounging lazily in the water. They floated on their backs, paws resting on their bellies, occasionally rolling or splashing as to show off for the crowd gathered along the marina rail. Nearby, an abandoned sand castle stood as a reminder of beachgoers past. And we also noticed a quiet corner where stacks of smooth stones were carefully balanced in meditative formations, almost like works of art. Eventually, we made our way down to the beach. The sand was cool underfoot, and as we wandered, we passed a section alive with tiny sand fleas drawn to the seaweed drying on the shore. Curious but slightly unsettling, we stepped past quickly. Then came the inevitable challenge, dipping our feet into the Pacific. The water was freezing, a sharp, icy bite that made us laugh and flinch at the same time. But after setting up camp on the sand, the chill gave way to relaxation as we spent a few hours soaking up the sun and enjoying the peace of the coast. Later, we returned to the marina and chose dockside for a casual bite. While waiting for our order, we were entertained by an older gentleman outside, rocking out on his electric piano and giving the whole area a quirky, unexpected vibe.
Hey, Candy and Ronnie, have you seen them yet? Oh, the zoo's spaced out. Betty and the Jets.
When the food arrived, I snapped a picture of my burger only to discover shards of plastic in the meat, which instantly killed my appetite and left me shaking my head at the experience. Our next stop was San Luis Obispo, where we made our way to the mission. Unfortunately, we had just missed the final guided tour of the day, but that didn't stop us from enjoying the grounds. The mission garden was beautifully kept with vibrant flowers, neatly trimmed hedges, and a quiet sense of history in the air. As we strolled through, the late afternoon light cast warm shadows across the walkways, making the garden feel almost timeless. We stepped into the chapel where the ornate wall paintings and intricate decorations immediately caught our attention. The high ceilings, wooden pews, and soft glow of the candles gave the space a quiet reverence, as if we had stepped back in time. Outside the chapel, there was a smaller fountain tucked beside a side entrance, trickling peacefully. Just beyond the chapel stood a larger fountain with bronze bear sculptures playing alongside a small child, a whimsical contrast to the solemnity of the chapel. The exterior of the mission itself was equally captivating. Its pale stucco walls and red-tiled roof reflected the golden light, giving us that picture-perfect old California moment. Directly across the street, we discovered a quaint little flower shop called Growing Grounds. Inside, I couldn't resist picking up 3 small plants to take home, a little living souvenir for our trip. From there, we wandered through the downtown streets, which were filled with boutique shops offering artsy knickknacks, homemade crafts, and plenty of local character. One of the most unusual stops was Bubblegum Alley, where both walls of the narrow alleyway were completely plastered with decades of old chewing gum. It was quirky, a little gross, but definitely memorable. Just around the corner, we stumbled into Locum, a small Turkish delight shop where the shelves were filled with trays of sweets, powdered sugar dusting the air, and the rich aroma of fresh coffee. We sampled a few pieces and admired the array of flavors and textures, each bite as unique as the last. As evening set in, we made our way to Mama's Meatballs, a cozy Italian spot tucked into a small market plaza. The atmosphere was warm and welcoming, perfect for winding down after a long day. Over plates of pasta, hearty meatballs, glass of wine, and salad, we relaxed and relived the highlights of the day. But the night wasn't over just yet. We treated ourselves to dessert at Night Creamery, where the nitrogen frozen ice cream was a show in itself. Watching the cold mist spill over the counters as our ice cream was made added a little extra magic to the sweet ending. Finally, we made the drive back to our Airbnb in Morro Bay. The road was pitch black, the only light coming from our headlights cutting through a thin layer of fog. It felt eerie, almost like a scene from a horror movie, but it also made the ride unforgettable, the kind of memory that sticks with you long after the trip is over. As we packed up and prepared to leave Morro Bay, we made one last stop before hitting the road. A hearty breakfast at Denny's felt like the right way to fuel up for the long day ahead. With our stomachs full, we got back on the road and headed south towards Solvang. As we strolled into the streets of Solvang, the city instantly captured us with its vibrant charm. Half-timbered buildings, windmills, and cobblestone-inspired walkways made it feel like stepping straight into a Danish village. Our first stop was the California Nature Art Museum, where we took our time exploring the current exhibits. The galleries were filled with paintings, sculptures, and mixed media pieces, each one highlighting California's natural beauty through the eyes of local artists. Some works celebrated the coastline with crashing waves and soft pastel skies, while others focused on the flora and fauna unique to the region, from delicate wildflowers to soaring birds of prey. The diversity of art gave the museum a vibrant energy. One moment we were admiring bold abstract brushstrokes bursting with color, and the next we were drawn into a quiet, almost meditative charcoal sketch that captured the stillness of nature with each room. It felt like we were being offered a new lens through which to see California. After spending some time taking in the exhibits, we made our way to the highlight of the museum. A giant wooden troll installed in February by artist Thomas Dambo. Towering and whimsical, this piece is number 156 in his growing global collection of trolls, and the only one currently on display in California. Though our stop here was brief, it was memorable and a playful contrast to the fine art inside. From there, we continued exploring downtown, admiring the monuments, browsing a few shops, and soaking in the old world atmosphere. Of course, no trip to Solvang would be complete without indulging in a few Danish treats. Here, we picked up some flaky cheese Danish pastries and fluffy powdered sugar-dusted Danish pancakes. With our cravings satisfied and memories made, it was time to get back on the road and head to our next destination, Santa Barbara. Our next stop was the old Mission Santa Barbara. As we arrived, the mission stood proudly against the backdrop of the mountains, its iconic twin bell towers framed by the mid-afternoon light. The scene was breathtaking, a reminder of why this place is often called the Queen of the Missions. We made it just in time for the next self-guided tour. Entering the courtyard garden, we were immediately surrounded by lush greenery, fountains, and flowers that seemed to whisper centuries-old history. From here, we explored the exhibits, learning about the daily lives of the Chumash people and the Franciscan friars who lived and worked here. Statues and artifacts gave us a window into what life at the mission once was. We passed by an old church altar encased behind glass, each detail preserved like a frozen moment in time. Then we stepped into the chapel. A stunning burst of color and artistry. The painted walls, intricate tile work, sculptures, and religious artwork filled the space with reverence and beauty. It was both intimate and grand, a living testament to the faith and craftsmanship of the era. Outside, the tone shifted to something quieter and more somber as we walked into the old mission cemetery. Here, many of those who built and worked at the mission were laid to rest. Surrounding the grounds were weathered mausoleums, each carrying names and stories from long ago. Tucked inside one structure, a newer mausoleum offered modern families the chance to have their ashes interred here, a striking connection between past and present. Leaving the mission, we made our way to Stearns Wharf right on the Santa Barbara waterfront. By this point, hunger was setting in. What a day, what a day, what a day. We just left the old mission Santa Barbara, and we are now at the Stearns Wharf area of Santa Barbara, so down by the beach and the pier. We haven't had food since breakfast this morning, so we are on the hunt for some food. So let's do it. The downtown streets were lively, lined with shops and palm trees swaying in the coastal breeze. Eventually, we came across Finney's Craft House, where we settled in for some well-earned food and cocktails. After dinner, we headed out to the pier. The ocean breeze was cool, and the views of the mountains meeting the sea were picture perfect. Down the beach below, we spotted what looked like a mermaid, crafted entirely from sand. A little further along, commotion caught our attention. A fisherman had reeled in a stingray and was struggling to remove the lure from its mouth. Once freed, the fisherman thought the stingray would easily be able to get back into the ocean, but struggled. A beachgoer came along and lent a hand. Taking the stingray by the tail and dragging him into the ocean. It was an unexpected but memorable moment. As the sun started to dip, we made our way back to the car for the long 2.5-hour drive home. The night sky kept us company, and along the way we were greeted by a rare sight, a glowing blood moon hanging over the horizon. Enjoying this last day at the beach. What a whirlwind of a road trip. You know, the funny thing is the whole time during the road trip, I tried to capture more of the food we were enjoying, but I think because of the gaps in time between the walking, the driving, and the touring that we did, when it came to meals, I was so hungry, I just ate it. I forgot to take pictures. I forgot to do some video on it, to talk about where we were. I was just so damn hungry that I wanted to eat. And otherwise, we were really just in the moment, just trying to really enjoy our time there. I did capture some clips and photos from the places that we went to, the sites that we saw. And I hope you enjoy. If you've been out to any of these spots, let me know what your thoughts were. How did you like those places? If you haven't been and want to go, you know, what are some of the things you're excited about seeing? You know, what did I showcase in this episode that you were excited to see because you heard about it or you wanted to check it out yourself? So yeah, let me know. Please, if you like this type of content, you want to see more, like, subscribe, drop me a comment. Let's keep the conversation going. All right, that's it for now. We'll catch you in the next one.